And welcome back to the Film Reelcast. First of all, let me set the scene. It's 1984. We're wearing headbands, we've got leg warmers. We're listening to our Sony Walkman cassette players. We're watching Dune, we're watching Beverly Hills Cop, Terminator, Footloose, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. That's until... Actually, let's get back to normal. The mighty Karate Kid came into our lives with an amazing impact. A film I'll never forget, the soundtrack I won't forget, the montage I won't forget, Mr. Miyagi, who can ever forget Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. Still to this day, it's a quote that people use. The Karate Kid is in our lives, it will always be in our lives. Yes, 1984, Ralph Macchio, Pat Morita, Elizabeth Shue, Martin Kove, William Zabka, directed by John G. Avildsen. These are people who I'd never heard of, but now they're in our lives. Now we'll never get rid of them because they were involved in the Karate Kid. It had such an impact. It's really hard to believe it's got such nostalgia still. And I, honestly, anyone who hears knows what the next line is. And you'll be singing it in your head. You'll be singing it during the day. You'll be singing it in the car. It'll be stuck in your head. You'll be leaving this podcast humming that tune. So the next chapter, they brought us, unbelievably, from YouTube, came to Netflix, Cobra Kai. And I never, ever thought I'd get into the Karate Kid again. But let's talk Cobra Kai. So Cobra Kai, in the UK, has just hit Netflix. It previously, as we all know, it was on YouTube, and you could watch each episode via YouTube. I mean, it bypassed me. There were so many other things to watch. I mean, I knew it was about, and I heard good things, but I just didn't watch it. So now it's hit Netflix. I think, why not give it a chance? So I'm going to be reviewing this, and I don't know what happens in the next one. So I'll be making assumptions, making guesses, probably way off field, but I'm just going to go along and just enjoy the ride of Cobra Kai. I've only watched the first one. I know people have actually watched season 1, watched season 2. And when I look at the forums on Facebook, there's talk about season 3, what could possibly happen. But I'm just starting season 1, episode 1. So some of the things I say, you may watch this and think, what the hell are you talking about? But I'm going to watch it and give my reactions and just enjoy the ride. I've watched number 1 and I'm hooked on number 1. Episode 1 has got me involved. It makes me want to watch more. It is that good. I'm that excited about it. So Cobra Kai, episode 1, season 1, called Ace Degenerate. And it's starring Ralph Macchio as Danny LaRusso. And it's got Johnny Lawrence, played by William Zabka. And it's got Zolo Meduna, I think that's his name, who plays Miguel Diaz. I probably pronounced some of them wrong, I've not done them justice. As I say, it's called Ace Degenerate. And this one, I love the way this one grabs you purely by nostalgia at the start. It goes back to 1984, the Hill Valley Karate Tournament, where LaRusso is injured, but he comes back. Elizabeth Shue comes back and says that he can fight. And it's brilliant the way they score it as well. They show hit by hit and the points gained. And it's just... it sucks you back in with that nostalgia, because if you're watching Cobra Kai, chances are it's because you love the Karate Kid. So it's going to grab you, first of all, because you're going to be into this fight scene. Even though you know who wins, that's going to bring you right back. And that's a really, really good angle to play. So you learn that Johnny Lawrence has fallen on hard times. Remember, back in the Karate Kid, he was the man, he was the jock. He had everything going for him. Country club, the money, the girls, the cars. But he's fallen on hard times. And that he's a maintenance man. He earns his living by going around these rich people's houses, cleaning cisterns, cleaning swimming pools, emptying gutters and things like that. And it's a real come down to earth. And he looks really, really good, don't get me wrong, but it really hits you how old you are. Like when watching it, when you look at these people and think, man, he looks old. And I remember him as a fresh-faced, someone who was just so cool looking with his blonde hair and just kicked ass. So to see him old, you kind of think, wow. But again, I think it's 34 years from that defeat at Hill Valley still haunts him. And that's had an impact on his life. And as I say, he's just going around cleaning gutters and he's installing televisions, and from doing this, I don't know whether it's a lack of interest or just there's no motivation, he just hates the people, but he ends up installing the wrong TV or the right TV on the wrong wall, and this complete bitch, and he is right to single this woman out as being a complete bitch, gets him the sack, and he's having a bad day, and his day starts to get worse, and you learn why, and the hang-up of the karate tournament back in 1984, it's still affecting him now. So in the apartment where Johnny lives, he bumps into Miguel, and Miguel comes across as a really, really nice lad, really sincere. And the first thing that Johnny says is, "Oh, great, another immigrant." So you're instantly against him when he says that. But Miguel reminds me of Danny LaRusso when he moved in The Karate Kid, in his building with his mum. Remember that it was a new place for him, and she said, "You'll make friends." And there's a lot of symmetry between, at the moment anyway, with Miguel's character and Danny LaRusso from the original Karate Kid. He seems like a really, really nice kid, and Johnny is really against being sociable with anyone at the moment. But I've got a feeling of what will happen at the end of number 1, that things are about to change. So one thing you do learn is that Danny LaRusso is doing very, very well for himself. And after the sacking, when he's down on one of his lowest points, that Johnny hears on the radio of Danny LaRusso's automobile garage that come along, their special offers. When he's driving in his car, he sees a big sign with LaRusso's that he's opened another garage. So obviously, and this is from the back of the karate tournament, and Danny LaRusso is still unbelievably using his karate in his adverts and things like that, and he gives away bonsai trees. So he's really playing on the success. I mean, who would have thought success in 1984 would have changed his life, and he's still hanging on. It sounds a bit corny, it looks a bit corny, that he's doing karate chops on prices to bring prices down. So him winning this karate tournament has really changed his life, and that's probably the reason why Johnny is so dead against it. Possibly he could have had the riches and the success that Danny has if he would have won that tournament. I mean, it's a hell of a lot to say that on the back of a karate tournament that it was a make or break whether you're going to be successful in life or not. But Danny is clearly very successful off the back of this. So another low point is that Johnny goes to a 7-Eleven and you see him choosing a pizza from this kind of oven, and the joy, the excitement on Johnny's face when he's choosing that one is quite sad, and another hint of just how low he's got. And again, he's pretty racist towards the shop owner. Miguel's joined him as well. Miguel's there to buy some Pepto-Bismol for his gran. And Johnny gets outside, and if not to highlight things again, there's a homeless woman outside, and Johnny's sitting outside eating a pizza, and she says, "Go away, this is my area," believing that he's homeless, to which he takes understandable offence with. And whilst he's there, these 4 kind of douchebags come out of a jeep and they go into the shop. And when they come out, obviously Miguel has identified them as being underage and can't buy alcohol, so they decide to beat the crap out of Miguel, and Johnny's just sitting there, and it's done really well. You see Johnny sitting there eating his pizza, and over his shoulder you see Miguel, they pour the Pepto-Bismol over his head, and it's only when Miguel's thrown against his car that he gets up and says, "Leave him alone." And I don't know whether he would have stopped the fight, protected Miguel, if not, had he bumped into the car. But it's brilliant what happens. So on watching Miguel witnesses Johnny go back in time and kick the arse of these 4 guys. And they come back for more, and again he kicks the arse of these guys. It's a really satisfying scene. And it's great to see Johnny play the good guy for once and actually rescue Miguel from getting his arse kicked. And everyone loves to see a bully kicked. Sadly, the police turn up and he gets CS gassed in his face and he gets arrested. So upon Johnny's release from prison, he's bailed out, and you find out that it's his stepdad, Sid, who's bailed him out. and also that Johnny's mum has passed away, and that he's got a child about 14, 16 years old that he hasn't seen in a very long time. So you soon learn that things are really, really bad, and his upbringing hasn't been that good. And what makes it worse is that Sid, the stepdad, decides that Johnny's too much trouble to have in his life, and that he buys him out, and he gives him a check and says, right, after you've had this check, I'm having nothing more to do with you, and you're out of my life. Any mistakes you make in future, they're your mistakes. So Johnny meets Miguel, and Miguel's really impressed with the karate that he's done. And he actually says, and again, it's some kind of like flashbacks to number one, where it's very similar storylines. When Miguel asks Johnny, can you teach me karate? What you did was amazing. I've never seen anything like that before. And you remember from the original one where Mr. Miyagi helped Danny LaRusso, that Danny asked him exactly the same question. And he said that you don't use karate to fight, it's to protect yourself. So and Johnny says, I'm not interested in teaching. All I want to do is just crack on in life. I need to get a job. It's more important than teaching karate. And whilst watching a montage on TV of a film, I believe it's Iron Eagle, that Danny has kind of a moment of inspiration, like an epiphany of, I'm going to get myself back on track. I can do this. And he goes out and he gets a bit pissed up and he goes to the Hill Valley. And again, you have this flashback of where Kreese is there. I remember it's such an amazing baddie that he's calling Johnny a loser because he came second, and he gets his trophy and he breaks it. And whilst he's at that place, a car crashes into his car, and he's driving this old, I think it could be a Pontiac, this red car back from the 80s. And it's full of these girls, and he runs over in a massive rage. And he doesn't know the girls who are the occupants of the car, but he clearly sees the one in the back. So he has to get his car towed away, and the only place that does it is obviously going to be LaRusso's. So the next day, reluctantly, he goes there because he doesn't want his car there. He doesn't want anything to do with Danny LaRusso. And whilst he's there, LaRusso comes out. And LaRusso, first of all, I hadn't seen Ralph Macchio since watching this. And man, he's always been the fresh-faced child, no matter how old he is. So to see him looking old, again, instantly it makes me feel old. But he comes over and he belittles. He even calls two of his colleagues over and belittles Johnny in front of them. And this isn't the Danny LaRusso that I remember. The one I remember from the Karate Kid films was a really sincere, nice guy, would help anyone attitude. But he takes the piss out of Johnny and makes things even worse for him. And he says he'll give him a discount on the car. He'll do it for free as a favour. And Johnny even says, you're the one who took my girl. You're the one who started this. And he doesn't even acknowledge any of that. And again, LaRusso comes across as a real dick in this, and Johnny comes across as the nice guy. Whether it's because he hasn't got anything and he's got nothing to kind of barter with, play chess with, I don't know. But LaRusso's just being an idiot. And what makes matters worse is whilst he's at the garage, a young female comes in, and he identifies her as obviously being the female in the back of the car that hit his car. And this turns out to be Daniel LaRusso's daughter. So if things couldn't get any worse, he's got this to deal with. Then LaRusso comes out and gives him this trashy, tacky bonsai tree, which when Johnny leaves, he just chucks on the floor. And that's it. That's it. He's had enough. He goes and he buys a dojo. He's going to be a sensei. And he puts up the sticker, the banner, strike first, strike hard, no mercy. It's absolutely brilliant montage of starting this dojo, and then he goes and meets Miguel, and he says, you still want to learn karate? He said, you're going to be my karate teacher. He says, no, I'm going to be your sensei. And that shot of Johnny with the words behind him when he's putting his headband on is a real callback to the 80s, and just that ending alone has got me hooked. And I really, really enjoyed this episode. As I say, I don't know which way it's going to go, but the 80s music, the montage, to have these two enemies, these foes back again at each other. And at the moment, the way it's been flipped round, that Johnny is the one who we can relate to more, and that Danny LaRusso is the one who's coming across as a real idiot. It's so well done, and I'm so excited. I'm buzzing to watch the next one. So please leave comments, leave feedback, subscribe, because I'm going to go through all of these and review all of these as well. And I'm really excited to talk about these. As I say, I was a child of the 80s. I saw this at the cinema. So to find this series that everyone's been talking about and to actually enjoy it as much as I did has been a real happy surprise. So subscribe and notifications and leave comments. And also, if you do love TV and you're a fan of The Shield, which is an amazing police drama, I'm actually reviewing The Shield as well. So you can subscribe, you can watch The Shield. And I'm on, at the moment of reviewing this one, I'm on just finished season 1, episode 6. So that's something else you can watch. We've got our audio podcast, the Film Reelcast, on iTunes and on Android as well. We've got over 100 film reviews. So I hope you enjoyed this. I really enjoyed talking about Cobra Kai, and I'm going to be back with episode 2.